It's okay. Everybody forgets from time to time. All right, we got a lot to do today. We got a lot of special recognition from the last meeting that we didn't get to. Some really, really deserving people that I wanted to make sure got their moment. So I'm probably going to deliver a little bit briefer of a message than I normally do. And really, without any kind of fuss, I want to get everybody right into the flag. Obviously, every week we do this. We want to recognize how important it is that we can do what we do every morning without fear, without worrying about people kicking down the door, without coming in and ruining what we do. And you know what? Before I do this, I'm going to take a moment. Raise your hand if you have been in or are in the armed services right now. Now raise your hand if you have family members that are in the armed services right now. Give it up for all these people that do their job to protect what we do. All right. Now with me, please, everyone, go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, you know what to do, guys. 3 hugs, 3 high five. Through thick and thin. And I'm not talking about your mom. I'm talking about you. Today is all about you. Today is all about that person who has the biggest impact on the results that you get in your life. The biggest results are going to come from what you tell yourself. So I want to make sure that we go through how to think today. There have been quite a few very successful leaders who've more or less said the same thing about where victory occurs, where success occurs, where our results come from. And it starts where? In your mind. That's the first place that you see this. The battle is won or lost in your mind before it's ever fought, no matter what you're going after. Whether you're going after a record-breaking number, whether you're pursuing a project on the side, whether you're raising your children a certain way, whether this goes the way you'd like it to actually happens before you even start working on it. According to Sun Tzu, the legendary philosopher, and I'm going to quote him, "The winning army realizes the conditions for victory first, then fights. The losing army fights first, then seeks victory." So when we think about that, what does it really mean for us? It means that we have to be aware of what the win looks like before we even start. Too many people simply go out in the field unprepared, hoping that things come together. They fight first, and then they seek victory. They realize halfway through that they may need to make some adjustments. They realize that they might need to put in a little bit more effort to make it happen. Meanwhile, the person who is consistently successful, and you'll get this if you pay attention to the recognition list every week, whether it's producers or it's managers, those top performers will always draw up in their minds exactly what their day and week and month will look like before they even start working on it, way in advance. And the reason for that is it's a lot easier to follow a simple game plan once that game plan is set up than to run around like a chicken with its head cut off, hoping that things come together. Our success in the field is the result of factors that come together before we hit the field. First, are we prepared to win in our own minds? Do you guys feel like you're prepared for the week right now in your head? Have you already seen the success that you're going to get in your head? Because if you haven't, then getting on the phones tonight or being in the field tomorrow is not going to help you. You've got to be able to see that victory first. Regardless of the past experience that we had, and by past experience I mean regardless of what happened last week, do you see victory? Do you see a $10,000 week? Even if you blanked last week, do you still see where the path is going to take you to get to that win? Second, what do you need to happen in order for this victory to occur? Well, we know you need appointments. We know you need to be organized. Your leads need to be in a certain order. You need to put them together so that you can do drop-bys if you need to. But all of that happens before you start. Could you imagine all the time that you could save if you did this prep work in advance compared to if you're sitting in your car after someone isn't there for an appointment and you have to fumble and bumble your way through your leads to figure out where to go next? Imagine every single time that happens, how much time you lose. Add that up over the course of the week. Add that up over the course of a month or a year. How much more opportunity would you have had if you'd been focused and been disciplined and stayed on track? All of that happens before you even get started, though. Are we psyching ourselves up, or are we psyching ourselves out? How many times do we have to witness the impossible here, right here, in this agency? How many times do we have to watch people do 8,000 or 10,000 or 15,000 in a week before it starts to occur to us that we could do that too? How many people have to go down that path before we really start to believe? Are we telling ourselves that that's what we expect? Or are we telling ourselves that there's something different about those people and we're never going to get there? The truth is that when you are on fire in your own mind, nothing can stop you. In fact, when I think about the people who were top performers just this week, I know that they were able to grab this in their minds and see it and relish it before it ever happened. Last week, there was some confusion with the way the numbers were reported, or I guess the week before. And someone that could have been the number one producer was not called as the number one producer. Now, I can understand how devastating that might feel. I can really understand that because I know we all work extremely hard and we love the idea of being recognized for what we do. Well, what do you do if something outside of your control goes wrong and you don't get that recognition that you really thought that you deserved? Well, I'll tell you what the number one producer did this week. She decided not to leave it to chance, to go and blow everybody else's numbers away, and to be number one clear and away and easy so that nobody got confused about who won. Juliana Botero, I want to take a minute right now to say congratulations to you before we even do recognition. I admire that. I admire that. Because Juliana was talking to me 2 weeks ago when she had this really big week and didn't get called out as number one. And I remember just the smile on her face, just the accomplishment alone was fantastic. But imagine if we had gotten everything working together. So remember, whether or not things go your way, whether or not factors come together that you can't control, that doesn't mean that you're done. It doesn't mean that we turn off. It doesn't mean that we look in a different direction. What it means is that we tell ourselves what's going to happen again tomorrow and this week and this month, and then we simply go do it. That's all this takes. This is all in our heads. That's it. So we know that we need the appointments. We know we need to do the simple things like bring snacks and bottles of water in the car with us. Like, why would we want to waste time going to a fast food place or stopping at a Dunkin' Donuts? Add up all the time. I feel it painfully every second that I'm standing still in the field. Bless you. I feel it. Where's Corey Hallam? How painful is it for me to be standing still for a second when we're in the field? It's very painful for the person I'm with also. I just want to put that out there. Because I know what every second truly costs. I know what the value of every second truly is on the upside. That extra house that we get into, that extra call that we can make, that extra appointment that gets set up, all of it leads to those conditions for victory. You know, we know what wins here. That's not a mystery. I don't think there's a single person in here, even if it's your very first day, that would say they don't understand that the more people we see, the better off we are. But we convince ourselves that those factors are luxuries. It would be nice if we had all of the appointments, like 8 or 10 appointments in a day. Oh, it would be awesome if we got that. But we're not telling ourselves it's necessary. We're telling ourselves it would be great if. When we know what victory looks like, we can capture it. But we first have to know what it looks like. So I'm going to bring in all the big guns today, because I keep telling everybody that I'm not that smart, and it's true. I'm going to bring in all the other smart people. Hopefully you can relate to this. I gave you Sun Tzu to open. Now we're going to bring in Titan of industry Henry Ford. He said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. How often have we talked ourselves into or out of something before we've even tried? How many times has, guys, how many times have you spotted somebody across the room that you wanted to say hello to? You really thought this would be great. You're trying to work up the nerve, and you're telling yourself all the reasons that she's going to say no to you before you even get up off your ass and go talk to her. How many times have we been in school and said to ourselves, I'm going to fail this test? And then no matter how much we studied after that, it didn't make a difference. Because once we put the idea in our head it wasn't going to work, we were done. And yet, we can come up with just as many examples of people who said, it's going to work. I'm going to win. And this is how. And then they make it happen. What I love about that video that we watched, and I know that a lot of you have probably seen it, but that video just makes me smile of that kid, that scrawny little nothing, sitting there holding the line against 5 other kids pulling as hard as they could, who probably all thought to themselves, what is taking so long? What is going on with this kid? And yet, because I'll bet this kid, whether he realized it or not, saw victory in his mind first, refused to give up, refused to compromise, without any help from anybody on his team, held that line. I mean, you saw how close, how many times, but he never let it happen. How many times have we been at the end of the week and our choice is, well, I guess there's always next week, or there's, let me try to get into one more house Sunday night. What is the difference? What does that look like? Well, I'll tell you what, over time, that's the difference between unquestioned success and mediocrity. That's all it is. You convince yourself. You convince yourself whether you're going to win or whether you're going to lose. I can't tell you how often people pop big numbers just because they've convinced themselves that they will. At the same time, it amazes me how many talented people I have seen in all of my years with this company, massively talented people, that choose not to put that effort in, that choose to play scared despite all their talent, that refuse to see that big victory and end up being just okay, despite all the talent in the world. Because they're not, bless you, that's quite enough. Sounds like 6 sneezes in a row from Gerstein back there. So I want to make sure everybody understands this, that if we're able to talk ourselves up, if we're able to look at ourselves in the mirror and really identify the champion that's standing there looking back, it is inside every single one of us. And I know this for a fact because there are so many people that I, as the smart play, the analytical play. Let's break down where this person comes from, what their experience is, how they sound when they talk to us. We could very easily say that there are people we would never give a shot of succeeding in this business and then be completely blown away when that person comes in as the number one producer. So if we know that this is how it works, why do we insist on shackling ourselves? I think that most of the time these talented people were too busy worrying about what everybody else was doing to worry about what they were doing. They were too busy sniping at other people, trying to make them look bad, trying to bring them down, trying to ruin what they had going on, as though somehow that would make them better. Has that ever worked for anybody? Have you ever been better or risen up higher because you made somebody else feel bad? I know that for me, it's never worked. And I'd be lying if I said that I never did that. I think in a lot of companies that we've come from, there's this sense of politics. There's this sense of drama in how you get ahead. And how often have we known people who stabbed us right in the back, thinking that somehow it would make them better? Does that ever actually work in the long run? It'll work in the short run for some people, but it won't work forever. For most people, that's just a defense mechanism because they don't want to work on themselves. They're scared of what they see. But I know that the people who truly get to the top, the ones who succeed on the highest possible level, they never look left, they never look right. They don't care what the person next to them is doing. They don't care whether or not that person is bigger or stronger or faster than they are, because at the end, they know that's not what counts. Because if you go back to Sun Tzu, you'll know that it doesn't really matter if you have the biggest or strongest army. What matters is whether you see victory first in your head or not. And then everything else comes together after that. But what's most important in this message today is understanding how critical your own self-talk is. I have invested a massive amount of time and energy in teaching people how to think since I've gotten to American Income. How to surround yourself with winners. How to surround yourself with people who are positive. How to avoid the people that are going to take you down. And what you should say when you talk to yourself. Because like it or not, we have conversations with ourselves all the time. As uncomfortable as that might be. It's awkward. Isn't it when you have to talk to yourself, when you got to like sit down and have a conversation? It's awkward. Sometimes it's hard for people to buy into this though. Because we've spent our whole lives programmed to be average. So when people hear for the first time that they can just talk themselves into success, they resist it. Because they've been taught that it's about the advantages other people have. Well, if you started off with more money, or you went to this school, or your parents did this, or you lived in this neighborhood, that was what made the difference. But again, there are examples everywhere where that doesn't make a bit of difference. So why do we believe it? Because that's just what we've heard all our lives. It's hard to get away from that. That's why letting negative people pour nonsense into our minds is so destructive. Because the longer we let them do that, the more it takes root. The more it starts to sound normal. The more we start to play it back to ourselves, that this is just the way life is supposed to look. Other people are supposed to succeed, but not us. And I think the best lesson on this, and I saved the best for last. So I gave you Sun Tzu, and I gave you Henry Ford, and now I'm going to give you what I think is the best on this subject. Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I mean it too. I think this is the best. I was blown away when I saw this. His confidence came directly from his vision. He always saw himself as a winner. In fact, what most people don't know about Arnold Schwarzenegger is that he made a ton of money before he got into acting. Before he became a big movie star, he already was a multimillionaire from investments from the small amount of money that he made as a bodybuilder as he was going. But when you think about the attitude and the vision that he had, he was very specific. He went to these bodybuilding competitions not to compete, but to win. His vision was victory, and that was it. He left no room for anyone to ever be better than he was. Now, did he win every single bodybuilding contest he went to? No, he did not. Not every one, but he did win most of them. He did win most of them. I think it's important to recognize that you're not always going to win. The result isn't always going to go your way. But when you see the victory first, it increases your chances dramatically. There's a big difference in the mindset and ultimate success of a person who knows going into a day that he or she is going to win, rather than somebody who just hopes for the best. You know, I used to walk up to a door in the field knowing it would be a sale. Knowing. I wasn't there to compete for the sale. I was there to win. I was there to help this family choose between option A and option B. I wasn't there to discuss whether or not they needed to get this. See, when we view our job as trying to persuade a family that they need this to protect their family, ultimately it makes it up in the air. Some will say yes, some will say no. But if you go in knowing that your job is to get them to choose the best option between A and B, that only leaves A or B as the outcomes. And if that's the way you truly look at it as you go in and sit with someone, you will be amazed at how your closing ratio goes through the roof. And you're helping a ton of people in the meantime. You're actually doing what you want to do with a lot less stress and a lot less worry. You reach a point where you're actually surprised if somebody ever says that they don't want to do it, because that wasn't a choice. It's A or B. That's all there is. When you can get that in your mind, everything opens up in front of you. Everything becomes possible. Schwarzenegger also described a tactic that I loved. And I've actually talked to a few people individually about this, and I think I brought this to the managers. In his early days as a bodybuilder, he would wander the hall before a competition. And he would seek out the best bodybuilders that he was going up against. And as he would go by, he would just casually say something to them and then move on. Something like, "Have you been eating salty foods lately? You look like you're retaining water." And they just walk away. Or he would go up to somebody and say, "Is there something wrong with your knee? Your thigh looks a little thin today." And then he would just walk away. And the person who he was talking to would be like, "No, there's nothing wrong with my thigh." And then he would, inevitably, this person would look at their thigh and be like, "Is there something wrong with my thigh?" Nothing was wrong with this person's thigh. Nothing was wrong. This person looked fantastic. And yet, one little comment from someone that they knew what he was talking about made them start to second guess everything that they were preparing for. So he would describe these situations where his toughest competition would focus for like the 2 hours before the competition on his right thigh. And like that was it. Rather than get ready and go through their normal routine, they would put all their energy into something that wasn't wrong in the first place. And that was how Schwarzenegger was able to win so often, because he got into the heads of his competition. If people start to worry about these things that casually come into their minds, how amazing would it be if we could plant a more positive idea instead? If a negative idea can ruin some expert's chance of winning by just being casually dropped into their mind, why can't we lift ourselves up? Why can't we put a winning idea in our head casually and then walk away? Why can't we simply say to ourselves, "I'm going to write $10,000 this week, and that's it"? And then just walk away from yourself, sort of, if you know what I mean. Just put the idea in your head. Why not? If someone could walk up to you and encourage you to blank because it doesn't look like you've got your game face on today, why can't you tell yourself that everybody you visit with is going to say yes? And that you just need to get into as many houses as possible, because why couldn't you get 7 or 8 sales today? Why couldn't you set a record this week? Why couldn't you do things that nobody else has done before? Simply by telling yourself. If we know it works, if we know that Schwarzenegger could just walk by, say something to somebody, walk away, and it ruins that person, why couldn't we do the same thing in reverse? Why couldn't we just choose to lift ourselves up? Why don't we do more of this? Why don't we prepare by telling ourselves what an amazing day it's going to be? Why don't we prepare by telling ourselves how strong we are? Why don't we prepare by being prepared, by doing all the things that we know will work when they come together? Why is it that we spend all this time hoping it works and then blaming all of these outside factors that we can't control for the reason it doesn't. It makes no sense to me. I think, if you look at the success that a guy like Schwarzenegger has had, it would seem silly to ignore this. Like, how many of you have tried to emulate someone successful before? How many of you have looked at the top producers here and taken 5 minutes to ask them, can you give me one tip that would help? Dominic's done that. Has anybody else ever done that? Just looked at somebody who did really well and said, can you help me? Well, if we can take a page out of a world champion's book and just run that play, don't we think we'll be more successful? I mean, don't you think we'll be able to psych ourselves up if we just choose better words to put in our own head? I know that we will. I know that it worked for me. And people have asked me for almost 14 years what I do differently than everybody else. I don't do anything differently than anybody else. When I'm doing it, I do the presentation. I drive to people's houses. I call them on the phone. I knock on their door. I smile when they open the door. Maybe that's different. But everything that I do differently happens long before I get out in the field. It's all up here. So what's it going to be for you guys this week? I'm really curious. Are you going to set a personal best this week? Are you going to go after something that you've never done before? Will you run down that one lead that you've been griping about that just hasn't answered the phone and you haven't been able to sit with? Will you actually get that person to sit with you this week? Because why not? If you're a manager, will your team have faster growth and more growth this week than it ever has before? Simply because you know that it can. Simply because you know you have the capacity to do twice as much or 3 times as much as you're doing right now. All it takes is our willingness to put it in our head instead of putting the negative in our head. Instead of thinking of all the reasons we can't, why don't we start thinking of the reasons we can? And if you need help, ask the person next to you just to say something positive, to give you an encouraging word, and encourage that person. In fact, why don't you turn to the person sitting next to you right now and say, you can set a personal best this week. It's that easy, by the way. It's that easy. Scott, are you encouraging Scott? Yeah? Do you think that Scott can do the best he's ever done this week? I think he can. I think that for 27 years, Scott Remy has been doing amazing, but I'll bet that you still have better in you. I'll bet that you haven't reached the ceiling. I'll bet that you could do more that nobody in this room could even imagine at this point because they've never come even close to the 27 years of success that you've had. Tell yourself your presentation is on point. Tell yourself the people you meet will feel compelled to give you every name in their cell phone. They'll feel compelled. They won't resist at all. In fact, before you even ask, they'll start telling you, can you go see other people? I want you to go see people that I know. Can you do that? Before you even ask them. Why not tell yourself that? Tell yourself you are the top producer in the company. Then act like it. All you got to do is walk around and do the things that you're telling yourself you can do, and you'd be amazed at how easily it comes together. You do it once, you might be a little surprised. You'd be like, wow, I didn't realize that. Then you do it again, you're like, this is a lot easier than I thought. Then a third and a fourth and a fifth time, and you think to yourself, this is just the way it's going to be every single week. That's how you do it. So when we are all striving to be the best versions of ourselves, we will achieve more than we could ever imagine. So I have one question for everybody. Is there anybody in here who is ready to make the next notch on the wall on the way up to 1 million? Do you think we could do 350 this week? We did 275 back to back. Can we do 350 this week? Anybody want to do that? Let's get it done, guys. All right. So some special recognition before we get to the regular recognition. Some really cool stuff here. First, missed the opportunity to do this at the recognition meeting, but it is a joy to be able to do this now. We gave one to Samson, but why would we only have one person capable of making President's Club It's 125,000 net with 80% 4-month retention. How about giving it up for the Frog? 27 years later, still getting it done. 4th qualification, President's Club, Mr. Scott Remy. Good job, man. This is awesome. This is for you. Thank you. Let's take a shot for Matt. Good. All right. Okay. So next, I have 5 letters and 5 pens for 5 amazing people, and I would say for 5 years, but that would be a lie, who have been here for 3 years and have been getting it done. And I mentioned it when we did the recognition meeting, and then for some reason, this group of people just wasn't part of the anniversaries that I announced. So I want to just say something about each one of these people. And when I say something about you, I'd like for you to just come to the stage, and I'm going to bring everybody up, and then we'll take a picture together. The first person has been the definition of discipline and toughness, and has been one of the most consistent producers in the past 3 years that I know. Somebody that if I were going into battle and needed to get ALP, this would be somebody that I would put on my team. And 3 years later, he hasn't even tapped into his potential yet. Help me congratulate on his 3rd anniversary, Mr. Paul Torman. Good stuff, man. Pleasure. Stay right there. Just look handsome. Just smile and look handsome. When I say smile and look handsome, I don't mean almost kill yourself. We're good? Just stand still. Just stand right there. That was close. Next up, somebody who has taken a bit of a roller coaster ride to a very high level of success, has dominated as a producer, has done exceptionally well as a manager, kind of flipped the script around, now is back to being one of the top GAs that we have in the entire agency week after week. 3 years. Help me congratulate Mr. Adem Abdullah. There he is. Good stuff, man. Killing it. Don't fall off the stage, all right? Don't fall off. Next up, somebody who it has been a real joy to see grow, and not just grow in the business. Somebody who I've seen grown from literally a boy into an amazing man. Someone who has years in front of him to perfect his craft, but is already light years ahead of so many other people. And I can't wait to be cheering him on 10 years and 20 years down the road. Celebrating his 3rd anniversary, give it up for Taylor Black. What is with the clumsiness today, everybody? Good stuff, man. Whoa. And that's just 3. The 4th anniversary that we're celebrating today, somebody who promised me when he came in that he was going to do things nobody else has done. And while I would call that a work in progress, I would emphasize the progress part, because this is somebody who has taken 2017 by storm and is starting to do some amazing things. Celebrating his 3rd anniversary, give it up for Dominic Telemunde. Now, this is some heavy-duty firepower up here on the stage. This is no joke. But to complement this starting 5, I guess, I don't even know what to say about this person. I'm going to have to choose my words very, very carefully. I would use words like amazing and unbelievable, because that can cover such a wide range of possibilities. But this is someone who is more dedicated to his people, more dedicated to his success and his people's success than I think what a lot of people see from the outside really give him credit for. This is somebody who's got a massive heart, someone who has given an enormous amount of himself to help other people around him be successful, and has done an unbelievable amount in just 3 years. So help me celebrate that 3rd anniversary with Mr. Morgan Labello. All right. Why don't we all bring it in, see if we can get a picture? No? All right, everybody come on in. Step up, let's step up. Matt's gonna take a pic. Bring it in. My face may freeze like this. All right, guys, one more time, give it up for all these amazing people. Good job, guys. And by the way, I'm going to preview at our recognition meeting not next week. We are not going to have an agency meeting on Monday. We're not going to have an agency meeting on Monday. Next Monday. I will be flying in from the SGA meeting and landing sometime around 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning after traveling for like 18 hours. I'm just not sure what condition I'm going to be in for a meeting. So what I'd like to do is have the MGAs and RGAs and managers get together and have a blowout day of recruiting and booking, and let's try to do something very, very special. This way we can get another leg up, because I know we're going to do that 350 this week. I think we'll do 400 the following week, just as long as we put that in our head and then go to work. There is one more announcement before I get to recognizing the promotions. A special shout out that I was just recently asked to add to the agenda, so I don't have anything particular planned, but apparently we are celebrating a special birthday today. So if you guys would help me to congratulate on her birthday, Ms. Paula Ramos, happy birthday! Happy birthday! You didn't know that was coming, did you? I don't think anybody's planning to sing, because it would be Jeff, and I don't think we want that. We are not gonna bring Jeff up here to sing. All right. I want to recognize the promotions from last month, because we have some amazing people that have done an enormous amount of work to get to their next level. We have 5 SA promotions and 1 GA promotion that we're celebrating. Now, most of you know about these people because you've seen the change in their production and where they're being recognized, but I really want them to have their moment on stage, and I want you guys to give them all of the enthusiastic support that you can. Will the following brand new supervising agents please come up to the stage? Dia Gondor, Lexi Lapari, Mo Olivo, Jen Domenech, and Eva Holloway. Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations, Eva. Dia.
Thank you, Gary.
Lexi. Awesome job. All right, so why don't we all get in here for a picture together? Records will fall with this group. I'm feeling it. That's it. We can do it. We can put our hands together for this crew. And with all of the special recognition from today, and obviously no meeting, our quarterly recognition meeting is going to be a week from Monday. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's usually where we start truly setting the tone for what the rest of the year is going to be like. We get to see who's leading the pack, who got out in front early. And we will also there will be other anniversaries, other promotions, but there is going to be a special 10-year anniversary for someone coming up at that meeting. I'm very excited for that one. But right now, let's recognize our top performers for the week. Starting in the SA category, oh no, you're right, thank you. Singing happy birthday, no, that's not true. All right, my bad. What would a promotion celebration be without the kicking assest new GA that we've got in this entire place. Somebody who will not rest until she is number one. Give it up for Candy Carlisle. I got so carried away. It's awesome. You guys can do better than that for Candy GA. Why don't you come over here, we'll take a picture.
Sorry, I couldn't
No,
let you
it's
go
totally
on.
fine. All right. It's that kind of enthusiasm that takes people straight to the top. Candy will not be denied, no matter how hard I try, apparently. All right. Now, unless I've forgotten anyone else. Elvis. All right, top SAs for the week. Number 2 won by less than $130 in ALP. But in second place, with $11,713, Matt Castelli. By the way, Matt, with that tie and pocket square, you should have easily been number 1 with like 40,000 or something like that. That's how you look today. But number 1 SA for the week with $13,281, Juliana Botero, who did a significant amount to help her own cause this week, I should add. Top GAs for the week. In second place with $27,005, Danielle Morales. Number 1 for the week with $31,486, Mr. Jesus Tolentino. I feel like there are some really good GA battles brewing as we move into the middle of the year. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Top MGA for the week. In second place with just a hair under $43,000 in ALP, Corey Helly. And to prove positive that Johnny can stay halfway around the world as long as he feels like, because this crew is going to get it done, the Massachusetts crew is going to get it done, $55,590, Johnny Lee. Well done, guys, well done. And now let's recognize our top producers. Okay, there are a lot of people on this list, and that's even at 3,500. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to call out the ALP, we're going to call out the person's name, and then we're going to give a crisp double clap. Starting us off with 3,585, Adem Abdullah. Okay, you know, maybe we should practice one time, because I always practice, and I realize you do the practice really well, and the times I don't practice, you're all over the place. So when I say go, double clap. Ready? Go. Beautiful. Let's try that one more time. 3,585, Adem Abdullah. 3,615, Mary Rivera. 3,711, Ashley Quinones. 3,739, Scott Harris. 3,813, Sammy Herrera. 3,856, Sandy Mill. 3,885, Brianna Tarco. 3,941, Lee Goldman. 3,952, Taylor Black. And now we're into candy bars. Just so you guys know, we have 18 people in candy bar territory this week. Starting us off, $4,004, Lexi Lapari. $4,072, Maurice Freckleton. That is a hell of a bow tie, by the way. $4,187, Eva Holloway. $4,295, Paul Torman. $4,390, I believe, first week out, Beth Jordan. First week. Very nice. In 13th place, 4,460, Matt Castelli. You can say it, I'm on fire today. It's totally fine. which means that everybody else is going to hit in the face as soon as I say that. 4,564, John Black. There's just something about the Black brothers. It's just almost all there all the time. Almost all there all the time. Here we go, 11th place, 4,585, and Kim. In 10th place, also 4,585, Danny Frank. Where is Danny? Is he outside? There he is. Very nice. Now we're into the fives. In 8th place, 5,040, Nicole and Teal. Very nice. 5,123, Greg Zagaja. Dude, did you just run that spotlight right over my eyes as I was about to throw? Settle down with that spotlight. That was for hitting me with the spotlight. You all right? All right. 5,160, Albin Jashari. In Massachusetts, in 5th place, 5,216, John Padarakis. Now, normally I would give Johnny the candy bar, but I'm not doing that this week because he's in Japan. We love you, John. In 4th place, 6,942, Marquel Burns. In 3rd place, 7,464, Corey Canataro. Not here? In 2nd place, 8,539. Fantastic job. Give it up for Ryan Carroll. And number 1, just to make sure she did not get overlooked this week, she did not do 5,000 or 6,000 or 7,000 or 8,000. She knew that Ryan Carroll was all over this week at 8,500. She didn't stop at 9. She went past 10 and landed this week with $10,066 in ALP. Give it up for your number 1, Juliana Botero. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. You ready? Every time I step up in the building, everybody's hands go up. All right, here it comes, Juliana. You ready? And they say yeah, and they say yeah. It's okay. You're number 1. It's fine. All right, guys, let's go after that 350 with everything we've got. Tell yourselves you can and you will. Let's make it a great week. Morgan, Morgan, Morgan. Morgan Labello, please report to my office. Morgan Labello.